Okay, welcome back, guys, to day 2 recap. Today we talked about research methods. We didn't get through the whole PowerPoint or discussion today, so we're just going to cover the basics that we discussed in class. Let's get started. Let me adjust my camera real quick. Whoop, that's a little better. Okay. So what is research? We went through that. I'm going to pop up this other thing real quick. Okay. So again, we talked about hypotheses, so you should remember that from your first day. Let's get through. That's where we talk about types of studies. Okay. Okay. So there's two main studies that we'll talk about, qualitative and quantitative. So qualitative studies focus on examining a limited number of participants. You're not looking at the results of a qualitative study can't be generalized to a bigger population, okay? They are relative to a certain individual. So a qualitative study would be considered a case study, where you're looking at 1 or 2, maybe 5 people to begin with, and then the research, the data, the results are specific to them. Quantitative studies are large numbers. Okay, so if we did a quantitative study of a cross-section of individuals in Cache Valley or of the school, if we took a sample of 25-30% of Fast Forward, we could maybe begin to generalize that information to the whole of Fast Forward. Okay. So that's the difference, and one of the things we kind of discussed in class today was just how those looked. Okay, a couple qualitative studies, case studies, natural observations. One thing you are welcome to do, people love to people watch. I love people watching. When I was in college for my psych classes, we had to go and observe people, just how many people for 15 minutes of sitting in the commons area would go and use the water fountain, and you just watch them use it. And then we would limit the scope of that discussion. Okay, how many people licked their lips before they would take a drink? And you'd watch for that. How many people would also wash their hands in the water fountain? Because some people do that, wash their hands. And this isn't telling you much outside of certain behaviors, but it's a little window into the lives of these people. Okay, case studies. We're going to read some case studies throughout this term. The information there again is specific to that individual. Just because the case study looks at a Hispanic female doesn't mean the results of that study can be generalized to all Hispanic females. Okay. We got longitudinal studies. These are very long term, hence the longitudinal study. So they take a small group of people, usually when they're young, and they perform these experiments. They'll put them through like certain behavior trainings, and then they'll follow them throughout their lives to see if those behaviors are still exist or don't exist. Again, it's a qualitative study, so these cannot be generalized to whole communities. Okay, a cross-sectional study is a quantitative study, and this is you can think of cross-sectional studies of like surveys. So when people come and ask you to do a survey because of you meet these criteria, say you're 18 to 25 or 14 to 17, these age groups. We do surveys in high schools based on like drug usage. We haven't done one in a while, but we used to. Okay, the difference, one reason we do more qualitative studies than quantitative studies is time and money. Okay, qualitative studies are like a snapshot. They're really quick. You can get in, get your data, get out. Okay, quantitative and even longitudinal studies where you're staying with a certain group for a specified amount of time, these two studies are much longer. They take a lot more time, a lot more manpower, and a lot more money. So these studies are often done less. Okay. Correlations. Correlations is what we usually look at when we're talking about like analyzing data. Okay, this is a negative correlation. This is no correlation. The data doesn't tell you anything. Maybe this is behavior. Behavior is real bad, right? And then we introduce some stimulus, and over time, the behavior that we don't want to see decreases. This is a positive correlation because all of the data trends towards the positive. We didn't get into this just yet, so hold off. We'll talk about the experiments and everything else moving forward in the next class period. Let's see what we got. We're about halfway done with, this is slide 10 of 20. So hold off talking about these. I do want you to do the rabbit season experiment, okay? What it's going to ask you to do is, sorry, I was watching the cameras. It's going, let me just pull it up real quick. Okay, you're going to watch this video of Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, and you're going to create a definition of a violent act, and then you're going to witness the violent acts. Probably shouldn't have told you that. So go through this assignment. It's similar to what we just discussed. You could think of this as a qualitative study, kind of like a naturalistic observation. Okay, so this is kind of a naturalistic observation like at the water fountain that I described earlier, but we're doing it as Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and Daffy Duck. Okay, if you have questions about this or anything from today, please email me. I almost said my phone number. Email me at alex@ffchs.org. Okay guys, see you in the next one.